right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and, honestly, kind of sneaky debate tricks out there. It's a tactic that internet gurus and talking heads use to smuggle some really extreme ideas right past your logical defenses. You know that feeling, right? You're in a debate, your opponent makes this totally wild claim, but the second you challenge them on it, they pivot. They switch to something so obvious and basic that you suddenly look like the crazy one for even disagreeing. It is so frustrating, it's like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. Well, let me tell you, you are not crazy, you're not imagining things. This isn't just someone being slippery, it's a very specific, calculated tactic. It's a sleight-of-hand argument that actually has a name, and believe it or not, it comes straight from the playbook of medieval warfare. So let's pull back the curtain and really look at the anatomy of this thing. It's called the Motte and Bailey fallacy, and at its core, it's a way to defend a weak or extreme idea by basically splitting it into two totally different positions. One of them is super easy to defend, and the other one, well, that's the controversial idea they actually want you to accept. And to really get it, we need to take a quick trip back in time, because the name itself gives away the whole game. Okay, so picture a medieval castle. It had two main parts. First, you've got the motte. That's the strong stone tower, usually up on a hill. It's fortified, secure, almost impossible to attack. In an argument, this is your safe, obvious, common-sense position. And then you have the bailey. This is the good stuff, the courtyard, the open land where you live and work. It's valuable, but it's also way more exposed and a lot harder to defend. And that represents the extreme, controversial claim that someone actually wants to push. So what does this actually look like in an argument? Let's use a completely ridiculous example just to make it crystal clear. Let's say I want to convince you of something absurd, like we should abolish all puppies. Now, I wouldn't just come out and say, let's ban puppies. No way. I'd start with my moat. I'd say something super sensible, something everyone can agree with, like, certain types of large dogs can be very dangerous. I mean, who's going to argue with that? It's a fact. Okay, so once I've got you nodding along, agreeing with my safe little statement, that's when I sneak out into the bailey. I start talking openly about how, because some dogs are dangerous, the only logical conclusion is we have to abolish all puppies. See? That's my real extreme agenda. But the moment you push back, the second you say, whoa, hold on, that's ridiculous. What do? I don't defend the puppy ban. Of course not. I immediately retreat right back into my safe stone tower, the motte, and then I turn to everyone else and say something that totally misrepresents what you said. And just like that, you're the one on the defensive, made to look like you're denying an obvious truth. So that's the move right there. But it's not just a simple pivot. It's a very clever maneuver that works so well because of the way it messes with our own psychology. Here's the psychological kicker. When someone is really good at this, the safe idea and the extreme idea get linked together in your mind. The technical term is that they become associatively welded. People hear the simple, safe truism, and their brain just automatically connects it to the extreme conclusion, often without even stopping to question the logic. And you can see why this is so dang effective, right? It totally exploits our brain's love for mental shortcuts. It makes a radical agenda seem like it's just the natural consequence of a simple fact. It's a way to bypass our rational mind. And before the debate has even really started, they've poisoned the well by painting themselves as the reasonable one and you as the extremist. And I guarantee you have seen this exact bait and switch out in the wild. How many times have you heard someone on a podcast declare something huge, like, we need to tear down the entire fabric of modern society, but the second they get any pushback, they retreat and say, whoa, look, all I'm saying is that the tax code is a little complicated. It's the same trick every single time. Okay, so how do you fight back against this? Because you absolutely can. The great news is, once you see the trick, you can dismantle it. There's a clear, simple framework for shutting it down. Your one and only objective is simple, but it is absolute. You cannot let them switch castles. You have to refuse to let them retreat from that vulnerable courtyard, the bailey, back into their safe stone tower. You have to trap them out in the open and make them defend their actual extreme position. And here's how you do it. It's a three-step process. First, and this is absolutely critical, do not attack the motte. Don't take the bait. Second, you deploy what we call the pin-down framework. And third, you force them to carry the burden of proof. So what does that actually sound like? Well, when they run back to their safe little truism, you don't argue with it. You just acknowledge it, and then you immediately sever the connection to their extreme claim. You say something like this: Yes, of course, we all agree some dogs are dangerous, but that wasn't your point a minute ago. You said we should abolish puppies. Do you still stand by that specific claim, or are you abandoning it now? See what that does? It forces the burden of proof right back onto them, which is exactly where it belongs. In any logical argument, the person making the extraordinary claim is the one who has to provide the evidence. By pinning them down like this, you force them to either try to defend their undefendable position or publicly retreat from it. Either way, you win. And all of this brings us to the core weakness of this whole fallacy. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It basically becomes your cheat code for any debate. The real cheat code is just understanding this one thing. The Motte and Bailey trick relies entirely on the arguer's ability to just glide seamlessly and unnoticed between their two claims. The second you shine a spotlight on that gap, on that broken bridge between their safe idea and their extreme one, the whole illusion just shatters. Because really, at the end of the day, honest debates shouldn't be some kind of game of hide and seek with the truth. By understanding this trick, you're not just learning how to win an argument, you're learning how to demand clarity and honesty. So the next time you see someone trying to switch castles on you, you'll know exactly how to hold your ground.